All right, welcome everybody to NEBA Spotlight. Kanga, please take it away. Tell us about your business.
All right, thank you everyone, and I'm glad to have you all here this morning. My business is Karois Consulting, based here in Boston, Massachusetts. And what we do is we help business leaders to achieve their target ROI on their or return on investment, let's say, on their strategic investments through disciplined execution by offering them project management, fractional operations or process improvement, and strategic support services. What I'm going to do today is just walk you through a couple of case studies so you can better understand what my business does. And then at the end, I'll give you a little bit more information about our services. And please note on this first slide that I do have some contact information. So if this interests you, that is the best way to contact me using my email. So my next. Okay, so what I'm going to do with these two case studies, one is a large enterprise and one is about a really small client that I've worked with locally here in Massachusetts. And I want to just give you a little bit of a flavor of what I do to help you understand the services that I offer and how I actually help my clients. So the first one, the large enterprise, multi-billion-dollar company, over 50 billion, implementing a new application for their compliance in their compliance area that helps them to make their pharmaceutical product development more successful. They had all these wonderful integrators, all the big companies you can think of there, and their intended target was about 20,000 users. The problem they were dealing with is they'd invested 2 years in building this new application and working with their business. But then when it came time to launch, they weren't able to launch the actual application. And that, of course, caused some angst in the company, both with the leadership as well as with those who've been participating in the process for about 2 years. And of course, everybody was now more cost conscious. So they were given 3 months to actually launch this application, and they went to look for an expert who could actually do that. And they happened to find me through an agency, and I ended up going in there, and in those 3 months, getting this initiative on track as well as to launch. First of all, by restarting the initiative, making sure that we didn't start from the beginning, the launch, but we're kind of continuing where we left off so that the team could regain their confidence, feel comfortable that somebody's in there that knows what they're doing and they are going to be successful. Did your standard project management work, building governance timelines and plans, status meetings, tracking progress, and then I made all through the process, identifying issues, make sure they're resolving their risks. So the outcome there, we provisioned the application, 8,000 users all over the globe. Everything went successfully, and it's still in production today. Other client, small business, over the $2 million mark of sales, dealing mostly with children, short sales cycle. They'd invested in a new building. They were no longer using one open space, so they needed to rethink their operations. How are we going to make this work for us? Because now we're not just yelling across at each other in one room. And the CEO's at the center of the business, planning all the events. And it's kind of like we need to kind of delegate and commission people to be able to do their work. Went into this particular business, assessed the organization. There were other things that I uncovered, like morale issues and employees feeling like the leader did not have confidence in them. But at the same time, I was able to establish leadership roles and responsibilities. People had titles. They didn't really know what they were supposed to do. They were just still doing the same job that they had done before. And then also helped employees understand how to be more effective in their roles, and then trained sales staff so we could meet the increased operational expenses that came with owning a larger facility. So how did we help the clients? What are some of the key things we did for the large enterprise project management? Organization of team, work, and just the project, how we work together, execution planning. Each leader needed to know how they were going to deal with their particular team. How are we going to take this new approach into my particular area, helping them document that with a plan. Once we have that plan, keeping up with them, making sure that they're still working on their goals and helping them remove any blockers. And of course, reporting is standard with project management. With a smaller enterprise, it was really about confirming the roles in the organization. Do you really need this? What's your customer life cycle? Who interacts with this? How do we create a seamless customer experience, whether they're dealing with sales, finance, dance instructors, or anyone else, customer service? That sales process was key. I wouldn't do this for B2B. This was a B2C, so it was very simple. But, of course, let's get your salespeople activated. You're just answering texts. Get other people involved so you can meet your sales goals. And then activating leadership. How do you use KPIs to drive growth, to drive efficiency? And then lastly, roles and standard operating procedures. And then my last slide here is really about who we are. I already told you who we are, but what do I do? Enterprise project management. I say large scale here, but it could be a small company. I've done it for one company with one employee, two employees, three, four. Operational excellence, I shared a little bit about that in small scale, but also do that with large scale companies, either managing the entire execution or development as a project manager, or going in and actually doing the work itself. And then strategic support. That could be facilitation, talking leadership through strategy development, not high level strategy, but usually translating a high level strategy into something more actionable, operational that they can actually roll out and begin to plan and budget against for implementation. Why us? Kairos, we focus on solving the problem. We lean into the client's ways of working to achieve speed. Nobody wants to work with a consultant forever. And we ensure robust user adoption is achieved at launch, go live, whatever you want to call that day you flip the switch, so that we can minimize that post-implementation resistance from the team, from the rest of the organization. So that's who we are, Karois Consulting. I'll go back to the first slide. If anything here is interesting, that's too many tabs. My contact information. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kanga.